Hey everybody, sorry. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host. I'm coming to you from one of my secret train watching spots here in Illinois. Dropped my load this morning in Bedford Park, Illinois. I shouldn't say dropped it, it got unloaded. Had an export load, so they just took it out. It was kind of weird because it was a frozen load, and this warehouse was definitely not a frozen place. It was plenty warm inside, but I guess they just transloaded immediately into an refrigerated ocean container. So yeah, I got that done. I actually had an 8 o'clock appointment. I showed up early. I was gone by 8:10, so that worked out good. I got a load I'm waiting to pick up at Tyson in Ottawa, Illinois. That's a 2-stop load going back to the East Coast. And yeah, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things today, but so today's August 4th. August the 4th be with you. Some our birthdays today. Happy birthday to our 44th president, Barack Obama. He turns 62 today. Just happened to be in his home state, or semi-home state, his adopted home state here of Illinois. Also born on this day, Billy Bob Thornton, Bad Santa. Who else? Roger Clemens, born on this day in 1962. And if somebody had said, guess where Roger Clemens was born, I would not have guessed Dayton, Ohio. I wouldn't have guessed Ohio, period. I just always thought the dude was from Texas. So I mean, I think he's from Texas now. Who else? Louis Armstrong, the great Louis Armstrong, born on this day in 1901. And also on this day, a little sad news out of Fall River, Massachusetts. On this day in 1892, Mr. and Mrs. Borden were found dead in their home of, sharp instrument wounds. Their daughter Lizzie Borden was tried for their murders, because you guys all know the schoolyard poem. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her father 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her mother 41, or maybe it was mother first. Mother 40 whacks, then her father 41. But Lizzie was acquitted. Lizzie was not found guilty. I don't know. I think O.J. Simpson is also assisting in this case, trying to find the real killers. Yeah, so anyway, that all happened on this date in history. Our 45th president has now been indicted, not once, not twice, but thrice. I just wanted to say thrice. It's really fun to say. And I tell you, I said this before, and I'll say it again. Without regard to the merit of the case, the dude and his lawyers too. His lawyers suck. They just gotta shut the F up. I mean, I think there's a very good chance he's going to prison, but man, it's like I don't even get it. I just don't get it. I don't know what they're thinking. I honestly don't. And candidly, I very much expect that there will be an indictment in Georgia. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it wouldn't surprise me that he's indicted in Georgia. Yeah. So, and let me just say this, and this is, again, without regard to the merits of the case, but if you look at the indictment, right, which is done under oath, the facts just suck, right? Regardless of whether a First Amendment defense might work or some other cockamamie defense, it's just really, the facts of this case sucked, this third Trump indictment. So anyway, and he was like, there's a superseding indictment in the first case. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I also wouldn't be surprised if he gets indicted for the documents in a federal court in New Jersey also. And no, that's not double jeopardy. You know, it could be the same set of facts, but crimes in different jurisdictions. Because apparently, like, one of the stories about the documents was he was at his country club in Bedminster. Okay, so enough about that. I wanted to talk a little bit about Social Security. I saw this article, and you know, a lot of us, hopefully all of us, have paid into Social Security. And at some point in your life, if you live long enough, you're going to have the opportunity to decide something about getting paid by Social Security. In other words, collecting Social Security. Now, as you may know, the earliest age at which somebody can collect Social Security is age 62. Now, at age 62, you are basically, well, let's back up for 1 second. So if you were born after 1960, your retirement age, according to Social Security, is 67. A lot of people think retirement's 65, but it turns out that, you know, you have to have been born actually a little bit before 1960 to retire at age 65. But if you were born after 60, your full, what they call FRA, your full retirement age is age 67. In other words, that's the point where you can collect your full benefits. If you elect to take benefits early, they're reduced. Now, if you elect to take them 5 years early at age 62, they're reduced by 30% over what they would be if you were your full retirement age. And interestingly, a lot of people take early benefits, like right at age 62. I mean, the second they turn 62, they're filing for benefits. And the crazy thing about that is it's for women, it's about 40% of women do it, and about 35% of men. So over a third of the people that are eligible for Social Security retirement benefits take them early, which is at age 62. That doesn't even count the people that take it early but after 62, but before their full retirement age. But it's estimated that Americans leave about, you know, several trillion dollars, or have left several trillion dollars of benefits on the table by retiring early. And the thing is, right, like, you know, when people say, oh, well, Social Security is going to run out of money and stuff, I really don't, you know, when you think about people are like volunteering to take 30% lower benefits, even though it's 5 years earlier, it's kind of interesting, you know, how that all works out. But let's talk about when the optimal age to take Social Security is. And let me just say this, and I'll use myself as an example because I was born after 1960. Me and President Obama were both, and Roger Clemens, we're all born after 1960. Okay? So none of us can get hit full retirement age till we're 67. But if you wait until you're 70, or every minute basically that you wait past when there's a train coming, every minute that you wait, here, I'll show you the train. Every minute that you wait past your full retirement age, you add to that. And if you wait up to 70, then you can, oh, sorry, I didn't turn the camera sharp enough, or my phone sharp enough. Trust me, there's a train going by. You can gain up to an additional 24% by waiting to age 70. So the question is, what's the optimal age? Well, research, and I read up on this, research says the optimal age is age 70. And so my question was, okay, well, so there's an 8-year difference between 62 and 70, right? But you're getting substantially more money at age 70. So what age are you when you break even? In other words, at what age, if you took the money at age 62 versus 70, what age is the break even on that? In other words, where the payout curves, intersect. And the answer to that is age 82. Now, the way I got that number was I went to an online calculator, and you could do this yourself. And I basically said, supposing for a moment your monthly benefit was $1,000 a month at age 62. Well, then at age 67, 30% more, $1,300. And then at age 70, that benefit was like, I don't know, around like 50. I didn't write those numbers down. I should have written them down. Somewhere around like 1,468. Okay. Well, the break even is age 82. So here's the thing, right? Every day, if you whether you take it at if you take it at age 62, but you live to age 86, then every day after your 82nd birthday, you lost money. Okay. If you take it at 67, right, every day after 82, you didn't make as much money as if you'd taken it at 70. So, so here's the consideration, right? And this is where people need to be pretty circumspect about their lives. If you're 60 years old, like I am, and you can barely get around, and you're, 150 pounds overweight, you got high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you're diabetic, and you're and let's say you're a man, no man in your family has survived past age 66, then you know what, man? Take the benefits the second you can, right? Because at that point, at age 62, you would seem to be like kind of on borrowed time, right? So take the money, and actually retire, right? If you think you only got 4 years left, enjoy the 4 years, okay? Now, in my family, a lot of men have lived to be quite old. My great-grandfather on my mom's side, he lived to be like 94. My father was 87, and my father was, believe it or not, he was not in particularly good health, kind of, sort of, right? He was pretty active and had a pretty good quality of life, but he had triple bypass surgery at age 74, and then lived another 13 years, but he kept working. That's, I think that was a lot of his longevities. He worked into his 80s. And when I say worked, I don't mean he had he was punching a clock 40 hours a week, but he had a job at a country club. He drove a golf cart around and, yelled at people if they didn't park within the lines at the clubhouse, or, I don't know. He was like security at a golf course. Now, my dad did have Parkinson's, but up until the last little bit, I think he had a fairly decent quality of life. So, in that scenario, right, that kind of maybe militates towards me waiting, certainly not taking, because I'll be 61 next month, so I'm like a year away from being eligible. But taking it at 62, I that's just not in the cards, right? Now, if my health degrades, precipitously, then I might take it. But knowing what I know now, that's not in the cards. And, the thing is, right, like over time, it really does matter. And people tend to live longer than a lot of times they think they will. The other thing, though, that's happening is life expectancy in the United States is actually going down. And it's across a lot of demographic groups, right? And I don't have the figures with me, but I did read an article recently about like what they called the lost Americans, where they said compared to our peer nations, or nations we think are our peers, we do horribly when it comes to that stuff. So anyway, and get back to the numbers on 62. In this article that I pulled up, it says retiring before age 64 is only optimal for 6.5% of the people that do it. 57% of the people that retire early could have earned more by waiting until age 70. In other words, the reason it's optimal for the people that retire at that 6.5% is because basically they croaked early enough to had that money earlier make a difference. But a lot of people that take benefits at 60, 62 live quite a while. My mom took benefits at 62. She lived to be 79. So like I said, my mom probably made out if the break even is 82. But still, if she'd waited a couple of years, she would have had more money during that whole time. The other consideration is sometimes people want to, quit working and have the Social Security come in because they have a big retirement fund. But if you don't have a big retirement fund or something that is really going to supplement, the Social Security and stuff, then you probably want to wait. And I'm sharing this with you because I was talking about retirement the other day and how to retire comfortably. And one of the things that I mentioned that's a big factor in a comfortable retirement is taking care of your health. And I think when it comes to making decisions about Social Security, you have to be really honest with yourself. You have to, talk to your doctor maybe, right? And say, look, I want to live a long time. And if you do, but I want to make sure that I have enough money for the whole time. And so you want to be honest with yourself, say, hey, and by the way, my dad he did not have a lot of great habits. My parents both smoked, and then eventually my dad quit smoking as he got older. He drank, but I would call him a light drinker, especially for the time that he was like an adult. Like my dad turned like 18 in like 1943. No. I did it back 1945. My dad turned 18. He was in the Marines when he was 17, but he turned 18 in 45. He had been smoking since he was like 12. So, and back then the drinking age was 18, right? So like and my dad, like, he did not watch anything he ate. My mom was always like, your cholesterol. He didn't pay attention to any of that mess. Maybe that's why he had to have triple bypass when he was 74. But, you got to be honest about these things. And it'll help you make those decisions. And you know, and by the way, you can take Social Security and continue working. I mean, I don't want to get into like a huge amount of like tax avoidance strategy here, but if you, let's say, are an owner operator and the money you make goes into a corporate entity, there is a way for you to take Social Security and cut way down on what your actual wages are, because there is a set off, and an accountant or a retirement planner can help you understand that. But you might be able to pile money into a business entity, get Social Security, keep the same level of income, but then have a lot more money in the entity that you can use for other purposes that benefit you in the long run. And when I say other purposes, maybe it's key man insurance, that's some kind of permanent life insurance policy, like a whole life or a variable universal life or whatever. Could be that you're putting in a significant amount of money into a SEP IRA or some other kind of plan, you know, and which is not going to be considered as income, right, from work by the Social Security Administration. So there are ways to do this that maybe do make sense. And just for those of you, if you're in this situation, so you know, my wife and I have a daughter at home, and she's 14. In a year, when I turned 62, in just 13 months, if I were to, and I bet many of you don't know this, if I were to take Social Security at age 62, I could also get supplemental Social Security for my minor daughter. Until she turned 18, I would get extra money for her because I would be retired, a little too close, retired, but have a minor dependent child. So if you're one of those people that maybe you had a child late in life, or maybe you adopted, whether it's kinship adoption or it's something like that where somebody's a dependent, you can, if you retire and you start collecting Social Security, you can collect for the minor or the person that you are responsible for until they're either of the age of majority, or, and there might even be a college exception, like to age 21, or if you know, like some parents have children that are you know, let's say special needs, but they're adults. If they're not already on disability, there may be some options for you there. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'm gonna do another video, but this is enough for this one. Yeah, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.